Nate G 219 to hell but back and better here. Hope everybody's doing great. Sunday morning, just after 5. You know I'm doing good. Good as I can be. But first, please go back, hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm trying to get the subscribers up there. I know sometimes when you get watching a video, you forget all about it. On to the next one. Hit that like and subscribe. Help me grow. Help me grow. Let my views get seen. Or grow, whatever. You know what I mean. It's pretty freaking early, guys. I'm sorry. I'm tired. But I've had some comments saying, you know, tell us a little more about what led you to the hell that you were in and that you ended up in, and what led you down that road of hell. And I have stated it in a couple videos, or a video. I did a video on it. I know I didn't get as detailed as I probably should have, but it was a start, you know, and I told you guys I'm going to bounce back and forth. I'm a recovering heroin addict. Been off of heroin. It was 10 years, October 22nd. That virtually led me to the penitentiary. But what led me into that was a world of mess. First of all, it wasn't because my parents neglected me, because that's not true. I'm not going to put blame. I was molested as a child by a doctor. Never came out until I was probably 30 that had happened. But, you know, I don't know if that was deeply rooted problems, because it's nothing I ever forget it. I know I was young. But regardless, I didn't, by the way, it was not, it doesn't matter. I was molested. It was obviously scarring, but growing up, great childhood, you know, not rich, but not poor by any means. Had everything needed, a lot of what I wanted, parents that were still together. You know, when I was younger, my dad was a drinker, but he had quit drinking in 94. I'm an 80s baby, born in 81, so he could quit drinking when I was 13 years old. So, but I do remember a good portion of life that he had been drinking, which looked great to me, but didn't like the taste of beer. And I remember him and my mom fighting sometimes. Nothing physical ever, not once. But I remember him drinking, making her so mad that I shook up his whole case of beer and busted can by can. Me and my friend Destry, I believe is who it was, busted every beer can. He was mad, but my mom thought it was kind of funny, and, you know, I don't remember getting in any trouble for it, but it's because I wanted my mom to be happy and my dad not to drink. But that, you know, that wasn't my problems. I mean, I'm not saying alcoholism doesn't run in the family or addiction doesn't run in the family, because it does. I just didn't choose to be a heavy drinker. Yes, I've got a couple DUIs, and I got caught slipping. It was a couple times were bad, or one time was bad, but the other one was barely over the legal limit, and the other time was they arrested me for my own prescriptions in my system, as well as marijuana, and I ended up beating the case because they had to prove I was high on pot at the time. I had clearly passed the field sobriety. I blew a 0 on the detector, and they still took me to jail and said that they believed I was intoxicated, charged me and everything. Beat that case though. But, you know, back to the road to hell. I was young, you know, 12, 13, and I started obtaining friends from a lot of different places. My friend Jeff lives next door to me now. Shout out to you, Jeff. I know you watch. He had moved in from Gary, Indiana. I know most of my viewers have heard of Gary, Indiana. Started running around with Jeff, and if you saw me, you saw him. If you saw him, you saw me. We were like two peas in a pod. And first of all, I want to add, growing up, playing cops and robbers and all that, I was the cop. I always wanted to be the cop. I could read your Miranda rights by 7, probably. You know, my bedtime at one point was 10 o'clock, I think. But I was allowed to stay up till 10:30 to watch the news. And I did. This was elementary school. So, you know, I don't even remember what the hell I was saying, damn ADD. But anyways, you know, started hanging out with Jeff, you know, go home and do my own thing. But Jeff, unfortunately, wasn't as well off as my family was. And I remember I was in 7th grade. Everybody was wearing a starter jacket. I had a starter jacket, you know, but my best friend didn't. I wanted him to have one. I got him one. My locker partner, I stole my locker partner's jacket and gave it to my best friend so he could have a starter jacket. So, you know, I guess looking back at it, it was kind of a Robin Hood thing as a child. I did get in trouble. I might have gotten suspended from school. I don't know. There was a few times I had been suspended. Not too many, but a few. Then, so obviously that was in winter. Come springtime, my neighborhood it's Indiana, you know, northwest Indiana, suburbs of Chicago. Chicagoland is what we are considered. Indiana, Illinois border is, 15 minutes from me is the border of Illinois. So, springtime comes up, and a lot of homes are starting to be built, you know. And when homes are being built, trees got to come down, fields got to be cleared, all of that has to be done. And in order to do that, they have to have excavators, backhoes, bulldozers, the whole 9 yards. And there was an excavator, backhoe, you know, big Caterpillar, sitting in an empty field. Man, it's just, hey, come play on me. Come play on me. And we did. We were just being kids playing on it. And I remember Jeff saying, hey, hit that button. You know, at this point in time, there's levers being moved around. We're acting like we're construction workers. And I hit that button, that machine started, and boom, we were gone. And we started running. But we were in the middle of an empty field. And I'm talking 3 football fields wide, 5 long, big empty field. There's woods and spots, but there's cops appearing now at entrances, the access points to this field. And, you know, we ended up just walking to the cop. We honestly didn't think we were in much trouble, like we were gonna, but they were mad. So we immediately came up with a lie right off the top of my head. I blamed it on an imaginary name, Michael Castellano. Doesn't exist, or didn't, probably does, but I didn't know one. And they ended up arresting us. They took us in, called our parents, but no charges were pressed. What really was the issue with us playing on the machine, besides safety, especially back in the early 90s, was the fact about a couple weeks prior to this, some teens had vandalized the machine to where you could hit the start button and it would start, or somebody did. They caused, you know, $8,000 worth of damage, which is probably nowadays closer to $25,000, $30,000. But once they realized that Jeff and I hadn't caused this damage, we were let go. You know, and remember how I said at this point in time as a child, I wanted to be a cop. Nothing that anybody asked me. There was no backup plan. I was going to be a cop when I grew up. I'm not going to lie, after that experience, which wasn't a bad one, yeah, I got scared, but your first time in cuffs, you get scared. So 2 weeks, almost to the day later, we were, Jeff and I, we were walking down the road, and we had a friend named Melissa, and her mom, Joanne. Joanne was the Karen of the neighborhood. You know, Karen didn't exist, but Joanne existed. There's no nickname of Karen, but Joanne was a monster to deal with. She was a very rude woman. She had 3 daughters, and God forbid you look at one of her daughters, and especially the oldest was our age. We were looking, and she was a beautiful girl. And I know, Melissa, you know, if you see this, you know who I'm talking about. Everybody does. Any of my friends that grew up and watched this. We had a pretty group of friends, but me and Jeff were the closest. And I'm gonna say Brianna and Melissa were pretty close too. Brianna was like a sister to me. And I mean, Jeff was like a brother to me, but he wasn't like a brother to any other girls, so he was going after all those certain girls. There was a couple of them I would go after. Anyways, I had I don't know why, a can of white shaving cream. Well, my thinking, I see a white mailbox. It's my friend's mailbox. It's a white mailbox. So I spray the lid with white shaving cream and carry on about my business. Jeff and I take a left at the next road to where they are building a school, which is Portage Christian School. It's still here today. It's now grown since then, but it was fresh construction. Again, there's a building there, but there's not a single house there. The houses are probably 100 yards in the other direction from where we just walked from. And, you know, there's a drainage ditch there. There were tadpoles. So we were catching tadpoles. No, I'm not going to lie. We did get into the school bus, sprayed the fire extinguisher, but we didn't cause any real damage. But that was never mentioned. A couple days later, we were tracked down by our parents and said that the police wanted to talk to us, that we were being accused of breaking windows at that school. We never broke windows. Never once did we break any windows. Never crossed our mind. We were catching tadpoles, got on a bus, sprayed a fire extinguisher, and I sprayed some shaving cream on the mailbox. Well, apparently, you know, the windows had been broken within an hour of us leaving, or by the people that arrived within a few minutes of us leaving. 2 other boys, I know them, David and Jay, that's all I'm going to say. You know, this shit was when I was 15, so more than 25 years ago. Maybe I was younger than that. But, we were accused of breaking these windows, and Miss Joanne said that, you know, it was definitely Nathan and Jeff because we did this, we did that. We were the monsters of the neighborhood. And then voluntarily, my mom picked Jeff's mom and Jeff up with me, and we all went into the police station together, and they put us in our separate interrogation rooms, and, you know, one over here, one over there. And Detective Swickard at the time, Terry Swickard, who is a very high name in the Porter County Police Division. You know, we'll get to how I feel he ruined the whole path of my life. Well, not him personally, but he kind of made me turn the wheel left when I should have turned it right. We're taken in and interrogated, both being questioned, and I'm adamant I did not do this. I admitted spraying the shaving cream on the mailbox. The bus fire extinguisher never came about, I don't believe. I don't even remember that. But the windows. We were accused of breaking windows. And he's telling me that Jeff admitted to doing it. And he's telling Jeff I admitted to doing it. And I never once admitted to doing it. And, you know, my mom, nobody's believing me because, you know, I'd been lying. I'd get caught smoking cigarettes, pot, whatever I got caught smoking or doing, I'd lie about. And so my parents would know I'd lie to them. But I was very adamant. There was a point I would usually cave and tell on myself when I was a kid. And I was a gangster, I don't. Zip! My lawyer might talk to you. I don't know. Gotta call him and find out. Anyways, well, they told Jeff I had admitted to it and that I was actually being booked and going to JDC, the Juvenile Detention Center. Juvie is what we call it. Well, Jeff's like, damn, I've never been to Juvie. I don't want Nate to go to Juvie alone. He's like, so hell, all right, we did it. We broke the windows. And they let us go home then. You know, they got to, but I still stuck to my story. I never once admitted breaking any windows. And for the next couple days, I'm grounded and it's hell at home. I'm being called a liar and all this. And because a lot of times I was lying, I was doing bullshit. But this time I was very serious. I was telling the truth. And my dad said, fine, if you're telling the truth, then we can have a meeting with Jeff and his family and your stories are going to match. I said, yes, absolutely. And that we did. And when Jeff was walking in the house, either he asked me, why did you tell them we had, or I asked him, why did you say we... And from that, our parents knew that Detective Swickard lied. Now, Detective Swickard, cops lie. Everybody knows this, especially in an interrogation room. But we were clearly scared kids. And, you know, do I think he knew that I wanted to be a cop? Probably not. But it doesn't matter. Because he wasn't thinking of the emotional and mental damage that could have caused somebody. So, until that point in my life, I wanted to be a cop. After that, and since that, I've terrified cops. I don't trust them. A couple of years later, I'd flipped one off. Yeah, Troy Williams, Chief of Police of Portage. I'm going to put that name out there. I probably shouldn't have. That might get edited out. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe not. I flipped him off and he pulled me over and, you know, I wasn't doing anything super illegal. I tried to run, but I was running into a dead end and he lied to me though too. It's not that he, I mean, kind of shook me up a little bit, maybe roughed me up a little bit. But I had that coming. I flipped the man off, but still, that's freedom of speech. And I saw it was him coming at me. And it was a Friday afternoon, and I remember it like it was yesterday. My friends, Jason and Tony, who I hope watch, were mad. They were mad as hell. But, you know, it is what it is. Nobody went to jail. But, you know, that right there changed my path 180 degrees from, I wanted to be an officer. I had plans. I had actually still had plans to go to the military, but by that point I was smoking so much weed that I wasn't going to pass a piss test, nor did I want to. I didn't care. I had a girlfriend, didn't want to leave her behind. It's a regret of mine now. I wish I would have went. I wish I would have. I had a pretty great ASVAB score. I would have probably got my first felony expunged because, you know, like I said, I caught a felony 6 days after I turned 18. I got caught with possession of a firearm on school property. It wasn't in the school. It was in my car. It was 4 months after Columbine, so they acted like I was going to shoot up the whole place. And that's not the situation. The situation was that I worked in Gary after work. At this point in time, was running with affiliations, and I was selling a little pot. So, you know, I thought I had to protect myself. I didn't have to. I mean, I did, but I didn't. Not at school anyways. It would have been nothing to stop at home and grab it to go, but I was a badass. I was untouchable, you know. So those are one of the roads that led to hell. The next one, you know what? I'm going to do another video on this. So, you know, if they ain't hating it, you ain't making it.